Mother Teresa was the founder of the Order of Missionaries of Charity, a Roman Catholic congregation of women dedicated to helping the poor. Considered one of the 20th century greatest humanitarians, she was canonized as Saint Teresa of Calcutta in 2016. Nun and missionary Mother Teresa, known in Catholic Church as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, devoted her life to caring for the sick and poor. Born in Macedonia to parents of Albanian descent and having taught in India for 17 years, Mother Teresa experienced her call within a call in 1946. Her order established a hospice, center for the blind, aged and disabled, and a leper colony. In 1979, Mother Teresa received the Nobel Peace Prize for her humanitarian work. She died in September 1997 and was beatified in October 2003. In December 2015, Pope Francis recognized a second miracle attributed to Mother Teresa, clearing the way for her to be canonized as Saint Teresa on September 4, 2016. Mother Teresa was born on August 26, 1910 in Skopje, the current capital of the Republic of Macedonia. But during her time, it wasn't called Macedonia, but the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans invaded Macedonia in 1371, and their occupation lasted up to 1912. Her birth name was Agnes Gonja Bojakshu. Mother Teresa had two sisters and was the youngest of the three girls. Mother Teresa's parents, Nicola and Drafenfile Bojakshu, were of Albanian descent. Her father was an entrepreneur who worked as a construction contractor and a trader of medicines and other goods. Her parents were a devoutly Catholic family, and her family was deeply involved in the local church as well as in politics in favor of Albanian independence. As a child, she loved the stories of missionaries who traveled the world to spread Catholicism. A missionary is someone who tries to spread their religion all over the world. In 1980, when Mother Teresa, then known as Agnes, was only 8 years old, her father suddenly fell ill and died. While the cause of her father's death remained unknown, many have speculated that political enemies poisoned her father. In the aftermath of her father's death, Agnes became extraordinarily close to her mother. Her mother was a pious and compassionate woman who instilled in her daughter a deep commitment to charity. Although not wealthy, her mother extended an open invitation to the city's destitute people to dine with her family. Agnes attended a religious primary school and then a state-run secondary school. During her school time, she sang in a local Sacred Heart choir. People from her church made an annual pilgrimage to the Church of the Black Madonna in Letnice. According to Mother Teresa, on one such trip at the age of 12, she first felt a calling to religious life. 6 years later, in 1928, an 18-year-old Agnes Bojakshu decided to become a nun and set off for Ireland to join the Sisters of Loreto in Dublin. It was there that she took the name Sister Mary Teresa after Saint Teresa of Lisieux. A year later, Sister Mary Teresa traveled on to Darjeeling, India for the training period. In May 1931-80, she made her first profession on vows. Afterwards, she was sent to Calcutta, where she was assigned to teach at St. Mary's High School for Girls, a school run by Loreto sisters and dedicated to teaching girls from the city's poorest Bengali families. Sister Teresa learned to speak both Bengali and Hindi fluently as she taught geography and history and dedicated herself to alleviating the girls' poverty through education. On May 24, 1937-80, she took her final profession of vows to a life of poverty, chastity, and obedience. As was the custom for Loreto nuns, she took on the title of Mother upon making her final vows and thus became known as Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa continued to teach at St. Mary's, and in 1944-80, she became the school's principal. Though her kindness, generosity, and unfailing commitment for her students' education, she sought to lead them to a life of devotion to Christ. On September 10, 1946 AD, Mother Teresa experienced a second religious calling, whom she refers as call within a call, that would forever transfer her life. She was riding in a train from Calcutta to the Himalayan foothills for a retreat when she said, Christ spoke to her and told her to abandon teaching to work in the slums of Calcutta, aiding the city's poorest and sickest people. Since Mother Teresa had taken her vows of obedience, she could not leave her religious job without official permission. After nearly a year and a half of lobbying, in January 1948 AD, she finally received approval to pursue this new calling. That August, wearing the blue and white sari that she would wear in public for the rest of her life, she left the Loreto convent and wandered out into the city. After 6 months of basic medical training, she voyaged for the first time into Calcutta's slums with no more specific goal than to aid the unwanted, the unloved, the uncared for. Mother Teresa quickly translated her calling into concrete action to help the city's poor. She began an open-air school and established a home for the dying destitute in a dilapidated building. She convinced the city government to donate to her cause. In 1950 AD, Mother Teresa formed a group within the Catholic Church called the Missionaries of Charity with only a handful of members, most of them former teachers or pupils from St. Mary's School. It takes around 9 years of service to become a full member of the Missionaries of Charity. She described the purpose of Missionary of Charity as an organization that would take care of the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the crippled, the blind, the lepers, and all those people who felt unwanted, unloved, uncared for throughout society, people that have become a burden to the society and are shunned by everyone. As the rank of her congregation swelled and donation poured in from around India and across the globe, the scope of Mother Teresa's charitable activities expanded exponentially. Over the course of 1950s and 1960s, she established a leper colony, an orphanage, a nursing home, a family clinic, and a string of mobile health clinics. In February 1965 AD, Pope Paul VI bestowed the Decree of Praise upon Missionaries of Charity, which prompted Mother Teresa to begin expanding internationally. In 1971 AD, Mother Teresa traveled to New York City to open her first American-based house of charity, and in the summer of 1982 AD, she secretly went to Beirut, Lebanon, where she crossed between Christian East Beirut and Muslim West Beirut to aid children of both faiths. In 1985 AD, Mother Teresa returned to New York and spoke at the 40th anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly, where there she also opened Gift of Love, a home to care for those infected with HIV/AIDS. The Decree of Praise was just the beginning, as Mother Teresa received various honors for her tireless and effective charity. She was awarded the Jewel of India, the highest honor bestowed on Indian civilians, as well as Soviet Union's Gold Medal of the Soviet Peace Committee. In 1979 AD, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of her work in bringing help to suffering humanity. Despite the widespread praises, Mother Teresa's life and work have not gone without its controversies. In particular, she has drawn criticism for her vocal endorsement of some of the Catholic Church's more controversial doctrine, such as opposition to contraception and abortion. I feel the greatest destroyer of peace today is abortion. Mother Teresa said this in her 1979 Nobel lecture. In 1995 AD, she publicly advocated a no vote in the Irish referendum to end the country's constitutional ban on divorce and remarriage. The most catching criticism of Mother Teresa can be found in Christopher Hitchens' books The Missionary Position, Mother Teresa in Theory and Practice, in which Hitchens argued that Mother Teresa glorified poverty for her own ends and provided a justification of the preservation of institutions and beliefs that sustains widespread poverty. He said Mother Teresa wasn't a friend of the poor, but of poverty. She was a friend to the worst of the rich, taking misappropriated money from the atrocious Duvalier family in Haiti, whose rule she praised in return. Where did that money and all the other donations go? She had opened lots of clinics by herself with donation, but she preferred California clinics when she got sick herself. The British-American journalist Christopher Hitchens called Mother Teresa a fundamentalist. After several years of deteriorating health, including heart, lung, and kidney problems, Mother Teresa died on September 5, 1997 AD at the age of 87. She had a state funeral in India, which means that the government of India felt she was an important enough person in their country to pay for her funeral and make sure important people in their government paid their respects to her. By the time of her death in 1997, the Missionaries of Charity numbered more than 4,000, in addition to thousands more lay volunteers, with 610 foundations in 123 countries around the world. Although she lived to be 87, she never saw her mother or sister again after the day she left for Ireland. Since her death, Mother Teresa had remained in the public spotlight. For her unwavering commitment to aiding those most in need, Mother Teresa stands out as one of the greatest humanitarians of the 20th century. Mother Teresa was a humanitarian. This means she did things to help out other people. Her entire life was fully devoted to helping the poor, the sick, the needy, and the helpless. Thank you.